So with intelligent video, you can build tomorrow's remote tower service while realizing immediate value today. And that's extremely important because there's not a lot of extra money going around these days for experimental systems, test systems. We really need to be able to realize value today and leverage that investment and look at other applications. And so what we mean by that, good opportunity to look at some gap filling capabilities here. So potentially go to a site and there might be gaps in a particular coverage area. Well, so you can provide coverage of that area, leverage that very same data, and start playing with different concepts of presenting that information. So do you want video? Do you want tracks? Do you want video tiled this way? All sorts of different things that you can start looking at. You take it one step further, and so you provide coverage of an entire area. So now you're in a situation where you've got a low-cost ground surveillance system or a non-cooperative surface surveillance system, but at the very same time, leverage that and use that to define your remote tower services concept of operation. I'm stuck here, sorry. So one of the samples I wanted to discuss was Cologne-Bonn Airport in Germany, and this is something that we're working on with DFS, in partnership with DFS. And so, again, along the lines of really leveraging an investment to look at other possible applications, the idea that an airport needs non-cooperative surface surveillance and deploying that at an airport so potentially could be used in the short term, but then taking that to the next level where you're able to use that very same data and start building out what you might see as a possible remote tower concept. So the idea of basically taking this, integrating it with different systems potentially. Are you looking at synthetic vision? Are you looking at radar type displays? How much video do you want to include in that type of operation? So these are things that you can look at when you've got that data that's already existing, providing you value under another application. So here's just another sample of what something could look like, and you can manipulate obviously the displays and the screens any which way you see, and you've got some activity here, and so moving on to what we're doing here with Ottawa International Airport. So the idea of providing a remote monitoring capability, not a remote tower capability, but remote monitoring and backup tower services. And so this is what we spoke about a little bit earlier. So how can you best leverage existing infrastructure, minimal investment, use it for something that you might have a problem with today, but then leveraging that for follow-on applications. So again, here you're in a situation where you've got 4 sensors deployed on a catwalk. You're covering off a fairly large area using those sensors, and you might want to display the information a different way. So maybe it's all about video overlaying your tag. So that's something that's a little bit different than having your top-down map type display with your video thumbnail. So again, just different ways of presenting the data. So again, here you've got a situation where you've got a number of video sensors that are all stitched together, and then you've got your coverage area here with your track information. So again, along the lines of continuing leveraging all of that data and basically demonstrating what could be from a remote tower point of view. So I'm going to skip through these videos relatively quickly. If you would like to see the whole video, all of the videos, you can see them at our booth. So just for time purposes here. So we talked a little bit earlier about mitigation of new tower construction. So the idea that when a new runway is built, there are typically demands on the existing tower. Either you increase the height of the tower, you build a second tower, all very expensive. So the idea that a tower could be located 5 kilometers away from a threshold point, that's an issue. And so how do we address that? Building a tower, again, very expensive. So what about the ideas of a localized surveillance capability that's monitoring specific areas, which obviously meets regulatory requirements, but giving this information to the controller to allow them to make decisions based on. So it's not a remote tower operation, but it's a remote-like operation. So that's, again, this is stuff that we're doing today, so it's not a quantum leap to get to that next level. from a apron monitoring point of view, so something that might be a little bit closer than remote tower services, monitoring your apron remotely. So the idea that you can go from having staff based out of a facility that have current line of sight awareness of everything that's happening in the apron. What happens when you want to co-locate those people in another facility and they no longer have that line of sight monitoring of that area? So you go to a situation where you take video, you manipulate video in such a way, obviously working with the users and coming up with the best way that you want to present this data to the users. So maybe it means stitching the video together, maybe it means demonstrating the video in a manner that they would see while they're located in their new spot. Again, this is all something that the technology has to be flexible enough to allow for different operations. So at the end of the day, you've got the very same out the window view here. You've got everything stitched together, so it's one seamless view of the operation. So here in a situation with Staff NextGen Towers, where you've got a fairly complex runway and you've got various installation points, and you're providing, again, a stitched video view of a particular area, and the idea that you can take this same data and integrate it with other systems to provide what your concept of the operation might be. And I've